Ulster 911, what's the address emergency?
I'm in the parking lot by Planet Fitness in Kingston. I was looking for my husband and I found him in his car. I don't know if he's breathing.
Are you able to get the door open?
I'm in it. The doors are unlocked.
Ma'am, are you able to check to see if his chest is going up and down?
I don't think it is.
It was the morning of November 29th, 2011, in Ulster County, New York. 44-year-old Thomas Kolman was found dead within his car in the parking lot outside a Kingston Planet Fitness gym in Ulster County, New York.
When I was told that my father died, everything I had ever known changed in a second. My dad was an amazing father to 4 kids and a great man. At first, we thought it was a heart attack, something natural but sudden.
Tom's sudden death sparked a gripping investigation, unveiling a twisted tale of secrets, betrayal, and possible foul play. The drama intensified as suspicions fell upon someone unexpected. As we delve into this enigmatic case, we're left wondering, will the truth behind Tom's demise ever be fully revealed? Welcome back to Mysterious Hook, where we shed light on under-the-radar cases across the country. Today we're looking at the bizarre case of Thomas Kolman. But first, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe and like buttons. Now, without any further ado, let's dive into the story. Our case takes us to Ulster County, located in New York State along the Hudson River. This county is named after the Irish province of Ulster, with a population of 181,851, according to the 2020 census. The county seat is Kingston. The county boasts a diverse demographic makeup. The majority of the population speaks English as their primary language, while Spanish, Italian, and German are also spoken. Ulster County is a vibrant community rich in history and cultural diversity. It was right here that our case took place. But first, it all began when Thomas Kolman was born on March 22, 1967, in Queens, New York City. He attended Stony Brook University after graduating from West Babylon High School and obtained his undergraduate and doctoral degrees from Damon College in Amherst, New York. He had lived in the neighborhood for more than 20 years and worked as a physical therapist for Always There, as well as Optum Health's physical therapy department as the director of utilization management. Michelle Coleman Weber was Tom's first wife. They remained close after their divorce. They both shared children named Jillian and Bradley. After his divorce with Michelle, Tom married Linda. Linda already had a child, Brooke, from before she married Tom. However, Linda and Tom were also blessed with a son they named Ryan. At 44 years old, Thomas Kolman was a man who cherished the simple pleasures of life. Parties and wild nights out held no allure for him. Instead, he found solace in the warmth of his family's embrace. For Tom, quality triumphed over quantity. He found a true friend in the dentist, Dr. GILBERTO NUNEZ. Their journey began during a tumultuous period in Gilberto's life, as he navigated the treacherous waters of a difficult divorce. Seeking solace, he found himself drawn to the Kolman family, finding refuge in their unwavering support and genuine companionship. Thomas Kolman and his wife Linda forged a life filled with love and laughter, and it seemed like everything was going well for them. But fate can be cruel, and tragedy struck when Thomas Kolman's untimely death shocked those who knew him best. The parking lot of Planet Fitness, a popular gym in Kingston, Ulster County, where locals gathered to sweat away their stress, became the backdrop for a perplexing event on November 29, 2011. It was his wife, Linda Kolman, who first grew concerned when her attempts to reach Tom went unanswered. Like clockwork, he would embark on his daily fitness routine at the Planet Fitness gym before heading to work. Worried, Linda ventured to the familiar location, only to find Tom's car parked in the lot. But as she approached, a horrifying truth began to unravel before her eyes.
Ulster 911, what's the address emergency?
I'm in the parking lot by Planet Fitness in Kingston. I was looking for my husband and I found him in his car. I don't know if he's breathing.
Are you able to get the door open?
I'm in it. The doors are unlocked.
Ma'am, are you able to check to see if his chest is going up and down?
I don't think it is.
Linda found her husband dead in his car. At first glance, it appeared that Tom had succumbed to the merciless grip of a heart attack. Given his weight and the common health issues that plagued men his age, it seemed a logical conclusion. But as the investigation unfolded, unsettling details emerged, casting doubt on this initial hypothesis. Tom lay motionless in the driver's seat, as if in a peaceful sleep. His car was parked quite away from the gym's entrance, despite the parking lot being empty. This peculiar positioning of his vehicle stirred suspicion among the investigators. Something strange was happening, and they had to figure out the mystery behind Tom Kolman's sudden death. As the authorities delved deeper into the case, another figure entered the scene, compounding the intrigue. Tom's friend, Dr. Gilberto NUNEZ, arrived at the scene to offer his condolences.
I was just really upset that, my best friend was dead.
Detective Michael Thomas, one of the first to arrive at the scene, couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The positioning of the body and the unusual parking spot baffled him. What secrets did his lifeless form hold? As experts combed through the car for clues, their efforts yielded no signs of foul play, no struggle, no evidence of distress. Yet, the distance of the car from the gym building raised eyebrows. Who would park their car so far away when they intended to work out in the morning? The detectives knew they were dealing with a confusing case. The mystery deepened when the autopsy results revealed an unexpected twist. Thomas Kolman had died with midazolam, a sedative primarily used by medical professionals, coursing through his veins.
Something happened to him.
The doctor labeled it as acute midazolam poisoning.
Poisoning.
Yes.
Midazolam. What is midazolam?
That's a conscious sedative.
It's used in hospital settings, also in dentist office who do oral surgery.
Meanwhile, the police reviewed the recordings from the cameras near the parking lot, and at one point it was parked near Kolman's car in a mostly empty lot. The detectives in charge knew it was the same SUV that Tom's friend, NUNEZ, drove to the location. 3 days after Kolman's death, the detective asked NUNEZ to come in to the police station for questioning. Detective Thomas wanted to know more about NUNEZ's life and his connection to the victim. NUNEZ started talking a lot and confided in the detective. After a few minutes, NUNEZ admitted to having an affair with Tom's wife, Linda. NUNEZ and Linda had been engaged in an affair for a year before the tragedy. The tangled web of deceit grew more intricate as Dr. NUNEZ confessed to assuming a false identity, posing as a woman named Samantha, and sending explicit photos of the affair to Thomas. It was a desperate attempt to break the marriage and claim Linda for himself. This occurred some months before Tom's death. NUNEZ learned that Thomas was planning to employ a detective to look into Samantha's letter, so he offered his office's IT guy $500 to pretend to be a CIA computer expert and meet with the Kolmans. NUNEZ then told them that he knew someone who could determine the source of the text. The IT specialist was supposed to display a fake CIA badge. But when his plan failed, Dr. NUNEZ resorted to confessing everything. He admitted to Tom that he was the one who had sent the compromising photos and begged for forgiveness. Astonishingly, the two men remained friends, continuing to exchange a flurry of text messages in the days leading up to Tom's death. After learning of the affair, the detectives felt the need to investigate NUNEZ. What they discovered was alarming. Gilberto NUNEZ, hailing from the Dominican Republic, was not only a respected volunteer firefighter, but also a highly regarded dentist with a thriving practice. Those who had the privilege of working alongside him spoke highly of his professionalism and calm demeanor. Mary Ellen McManus, who had spent over a decade as NUNEZ's dental hygienist, attested to his gentle nature, emphasizing that she had never witnessed him lose his temper or succumb to anger. But beneath the serene facade lay a story waiting to be uncovered, a tale that would challenge the perceptions of those who thought they knew him. As the investigation continued, the lines blurred between loyalty, love, and obsession. With the presence of the white SUV in the footage and the drug found in Tom's system, suspicion turned to Dr. NUNEZ. After NUNEZ confessed to his affair with Linda, the investigators got a search warrant to search NUNEZ's office. They found midazolam in NUNEZ's possession. This was the same drug found in Tom's system during the autopsy. Dr. NUNEZ was arrested on suspicion of second-degree murder, a little under 3.5 years after Tom Kolman's passing.
They suspected Gil Nunez, who was my dad's best friend, who we had met, who we knew. It was shocking.
By May 2016, the stage was set in the courthouse of Kingston as Mary Ellen Albanese, the prosecutor, took center stage. She cautioned the jury that the evidence she presented would be purely circumstantial. No eyewitnesses, no fingerprints, no DNA. But she assured them that she had a wealth of character, motive, and method to lay before them. Albanese's case began to weave a web of evidence, starting with the discovery of the midazolam in Thomas Kolman's system. Yet even this theory had its weakness. The amount of the drug was insufficient for a lethal dose, merely inducing light sedation. For it to be deadly, it would have required the presence of something else. Thomas Kolman's death further complicated matters. He struggled with various medical issues including obesity, an enlarged heart, and sleep apnea. Nunez, in a recorded interview, had voluntarily provided information about Kolman's condition, emphasizing its seriousness. Little did he know that this seemingly innocent disclosure would become a pivotal element in the case against him. Albanese argued that Nunez had exploited Kolman's sleep apnea, counting on it to worsen the effects of the midazolam. It was a brilliant solution to address the challenge of the low drug concentration. However, for Nunez to be convicted, the jury would have to believe that he possessed the cunning to devise such a plan, the ruthlessness to execute it, and the recklessness to risk its failure. After all, there was no guarantee that Kolman wouldn't wake up, questioning what was in his coffee. Albanese continued to present the bad acts committed by Nunez before the murder, aiming to establish a pattern of behavior. Nunez had sent emails to Linda impersonating his own mother. He did this before Tom's death to convince Linda not to leave him. While undoubtedly strange, the act came across as more peculiar than malicious in the courtroom. And even the failed meeting between the Kolmans and the alleged CIA expert, arranged by Nunez, seemed more inept than sinister. As the trial unfolded, all eyes were on Linda Kolman when she took the stand. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as she began her testimony. The haunting recording of Linda's 911 call resonated through the courtroom, dispelling any lingering doubts about her potential involvement in Thomas's death. The evidence of her affair with Nunez primarily consisted of love notes, posing a challenge for Linda as she assumed her new role, now testifying against him. Undeterred, she plunged into her testimony with gusto. At one point, she said that Nunez's habit of giving gifts was actually a dark character flaw. She revealed that he had showered her with jewelry, clothes, and financial support, even offering financial aid to Thomas for his divorce payments and education. Yet Linda saw these gestures as indications of sinister motives. With startling venom, she proclaimed, Gil was all about money. He was the one always pushing money on people, always insisted on paying for everything. Every time I saw him, he would give me money. Albanese, the prosecutor, delved into another episode involving Nunez's manipulation. She questioned Linda about the earlier instance in which Nunez had orchestrated a fake CIA scenario. Some texts were sent to Linda insinuating that Thomas was being unfaithful. Disconcerted, Linda saw answers, and Nunez offered to investigate. Outside a Holiday Inn, he presented her with a letter, allegedly from a CIA agent. Linda dismissed it as sounding like a 2-year-old wrote it, but Albanese thought to exploit the incident to illustrate Nunez's manipulative character. Under further questioning, Linda admitted that she eventually came to see the letter as a genuine CIA document. As Linda's testimony continued, some jurors couldn't contain their amusement, with hands covering their face to stifle laughter. The surreal nature of the situation, where a poorly crafted letter held weight in a murder case, was not lost on them. The proceedings took on an air of absurdity, a dramatic twist in an already complex and captivating trial. Albanese seized upon the complexities of the love triangle, recognizing the wealth of material it provided. The incessant communication among the 3 individuals involved created a vast trove of evidence from which selective narratives could be woven. Albanese's line of questioning was aimed to portray Linda as a married woman who was initially swept off her feet but was gradually regaining her senses. This portrayal had some basis in reality. Linda was undeniably torn between her feelings. In an 11-month anniversary card to Nunez, she wrote about the depth of their journey together. their secret heights. Yet she also conveyed signals of wanting to end the affair. Nunez responded with both patience and torrents of affectionate declarations. However, there were occasional messages that held a more ominous undertone, hinting at a refusal to let her go. Amidst this emotional turmoil, Linda and Thomas embarked on a weekend trip with their children to the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. This excursion took place on November 12, 2011, a little more than 2 weeks before Thomas was found dead. It proved to be a turning point as Linda realized she still loved her husband and acknowledged the selfishness of her actions with Nunez. The trip became a pivotal moment in the narrative of marital repair, amplified by a series of tender emails exchanged between the Kolmans 2 weeks later, the day before Thomas's death. These messages seemed to support the idea of Linda wanting to break things off with Nunez, but fearing his reaction. The emotional intensity of the situation was palpable, as Linda expressed her intentions while Nunez pleaded and begged for her not to leave him. As the trial reached its critical juncture, a startling revelation emerged, challenging the prosecution's narrative. Evan Limpton, Nunez's defense attorney, skillfully exposed a stark contrast between what Linda conveyed to her husband, Thomas, and what she communicated to Nunez. While the prosecution presented messages implying Nunez's agitation and a sense of impending doom for their affair, Lipton presented a different side of the story. Throughout their trip to Mohegan Sun, Linda was sending Nunez affectionate messages expressing her love and longing. Nunez, however, wasn't encouraging her to leave Thomas. He urged her not to make any decisions until after the holidays, respecting her wishes. This portrayal began to cast doubt on the prosecution's depiction of Nunez as a dangerously obsessed lover, instead painting him in a more level-headed light. The exchange of messages between Nunez and Linda continued as even the Kolmans purportedly worked on reconciling their marriage. On one occasion, Nunez texted Linda, expressing the lingering sensation of her kisses. Linda responded playfully, seemingly surprised by her own words as she read them out loud in court. It was a moment of self-reflection, a realization that her version of reality might need to be reassessed. Even in the hours up to Linda's discovery of Thomas's death, she and Nunez were discussing personal matters such as her period, a topic not typically broached after a breakup. The jurors appeared stunned, grappling with the conflicting narratives presented to them. Their gazes often turned to Nunez, a source of bewildering surprises, hoping to uncover the truth behind his somber and enigmatic expression. In a courtroom filled with predominantly white faces, Nunez shared his belief that race played a role in the attempt to pin Thomas's death on him, claiming that he was subjected to racial slurs during his arrest. However, the police vehemently denied these allegations. In the climactic stage of the trial, the prosecution presented a significant piece of evidence. Video footage supposedly proving that Nunez's car, a white Nissan Pathfinder, was indeed outside the gym on the morning of Thomas Kolman's death, a fact that Nunez had vehemently denied. Grant Fredericks, a forensic video analyst specializing in headlight spread pattern analysis, took the stand to provide his expert insights. The surveillance footage showcased the route from Nunez's apartment to Planet Fitness, capturing a white Nissan Pathfinder with a distinct fog light pattern. The video revealed the vehicle passing various businesses along Albany Avenue, its fog lights unevenly dispersed, one light striking the ground closer than the other, a fault in the mounting. Shortly after, a motion-activated camera at Kohl's next to Planet Fitness recorded an unidentified vehicle entering the gym's parking lot. Although the car's make and model couldn't be determined, one of its lights shared the same defect as Nunez's Pathfinder. Eventually, Thomas Kolman's car parked next to it. The footage, however, did not show any doors opening or closing during the time side by side. When the car with the off-kilter fog lights departed 28 minutes later, it was revealed to be a pale SUV. Soon after, another white Nissan Pathfinder with a defective fog light appeared on Albany Avenue. While the defense challenged the reliability of Frederick's analysis methods, the similarities between the appearance and disappearance of the peculiar vehicle in the parking lot and the timing of the white Pathfinder's movements on Albany Avenue seemed too coincidental to ignore. It was challenging to deny the likelihood that both vehicles were the same and that the car in question belonged to Nunez. The focus of the trial shifted as the prosecution introduced emails found on Kolman's phone, from a hookup site called BeNaughty.com. One email, sent a few hours before Kolman arrived at Planet Fitness, raised speculation about the circumstances surrounding his death. Initially reluctant to allow the mention of these emails due to concerns about impugning the victim's character, Judge Donald Williams eventually permitted their inclusion, as the defense argued that the prosecution's thoroughness should have included investigating this lead. While the presence of a car identical to Nunez's on Albany Avenue remained unexplained, the suggestion of a rendezvous offered a reason to discount it as a mere coincidence. Additionally, a questionable decision by the police further fueled speculation. They had sent Kolman's stained underwear for forensic analysis, but abruptly requested its return before tests for touch DNA or saliva could be conducted. The lack of explanation raised concerns about potential areas the police preferred not to explore. With the introduction of the BeNaughty.com emails, the prosecution proposed a new theory. Nunez had staged the body to make it appear as though Tom had intercourse in the car. The implication was that Nunez hoped the police, upon discovering a deceased, overweight man with his pants unzipped, would assume a fatal arrhythmia resulting from intercourse and refrain from further investigation. As Albany's weaved her intricate web of questions, she proposed a Baroque theory. She suggested that Nunez, after giving Kolman a spiked coffee and waiting for him to pass out, meticulously staged the body to mimic a hookup, removed any trace of his own DNA from the vehicle, while deliberately leaving DNA of Thomas, Linda, and their son, and waited for Thomas's sleep apnea to render the otherwise harmless dose of midazolam lethal, all within a tight time frame of 28 minutes. The audacious nature of this theory left the courtroom in shock. 2 further charges were produced by the detailed inspection of Nunez's life and were tried. One included an insurance settlement for burning down a building he owned. Less than 5% of the claim, according to the accusations of the prosecution, was fake. No evidence of arson was shown, and the insurance provider did not dispute the broad claim. Falsely completing a gun permit application was the other accusation. Nunez angrily disputed both accusations. The defense on both sides were incredibly complex. On both counts, he was judged to be guilty. The judge revoked his bail and remanded him to the Ulster County Jail to await his sentencing. The day of reckoning arrived in February 2017. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as Gilberto Nunez was escorted in, his hands cuffed and his feet shackled. This was the day of his sentencing, the culmination of a tumultuous trial, and had captivated the public's attention. Nunez stood convicted on 12 counts, and Mary Ellen Albanese, the prosecutor, wasted no time in seeking the maximum sentence for each offense. However, Judge Donald Williams appeared skeptical of her intentions. In a rebuke that echoed through the courtroom, he questioned when she had ever pursued consecutive sentences for nonviolent crimes, or maximum penalties for minor fraud cases. It seemed as though the judge was not willing to grant her request for a murder sentence through alternative means. After a brief recess, Judge Williams returned to the bench. His demeanor visibly changed. He spoke to Nunez, condemning him as a manipulative liar, devoid of shame, a man beyond redemption. Ultimately, Judge Williams handed down a sentence of 2 1/3 to 7 years in prison. It was not the harshest punishment he could have imposed, suggesting that his earlier moral outrage may have been more for show than anything else. Nevertheless, there was little leniency in his decision. According to Hudson Valley 1, Nunez was released on parole on September 10, 2018, after serving only 19 months in the Altoona Correctional Facility in New York and having no disciplinary issues. Nunez would be required to remain on parole until October 2, 2023. Lipton mentioned that he is still in touch with Nunez, whose ability to practice dentistry was suspended by a New York State review body. Nunez got remarried to Yamil, a property agent in the Kingston region. As we contemplate the bizarre case of Thomas Kolman and the enigmatic figure of Gilberto Nunez, lingering questions remain, challenging our understanding of the truth. What truly transpired on that fateful day in the parking lot of Planet Fitness? Did Nunez orchestrate a sinister plan to end Kolman's life, or were there hidden factors at play that eluded our grasp? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, drop your recommendations in the comments section below. For more captivating true crime stories, Like, share, and subscribe to our channel.